Perfect. So with that, let's all welcome our AI specialist, ABP, and a specialist and expert into artificial intelligence. So let's all welcome our great speaker, Sourav, on the stage. Everyone, with a big round of applause, let's all welcome Sourav.
Thank you. So let me share my screen. Just let me know if you're able to see.
Yes.
Perfect. I think the screen is visible, right?
It is visible. You're sharing your screen.
Okay. Thank you so much. Before I start, so I just wanted to know, so what is my duration of my presentation? I don't have that until 15
Yes.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So guys, can you tell me, just looking at the picture, what does it indicate? What is trying to tell? Yeah, please
Uh,
go ahead.
speak, speaking to each other with clarity, I would say.
Okay,
They are discussing
quite
on some
closer.
idea.
Yeah.
They are
Okay,
discussing on some idea.
got it. Anything else? Very
Maybe they are
close.
arguing, they have different views.
Okay. Anything else?
They are thinking why it is yellow color, bulb in yellow color.
Okay. So this particular image represents conversation. So the guy is trying to tell something to the girl, and the girl is trying to respond with some sort of conversation, right? So before I jump into this, so let me introduce myself. So my name is Sourav Patnaik. So I am the ABP in TPS. I lead the generative AI projects. So what you guys know about me is like I'm the ABP and I am in TPS leading the projects. But what you guys do not know about me is while I started working on this in the corporate zone, right? So I had to face a lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges, a lot of hardships. So I had to overcome this and finally land on to this job. Right. So now with that being said, so today's discussion is all about how to provide and receive feedbacks. One of the most important aspect in the IT industry. So this is like an elephant in the room. Everybody talks about it. Nobody tries to open up on this. Okay. So let me give you an example of my friend. So me and my friend, we both started our career at the very same time. Okay. So when we raced like 5 years, he climbed very fast in the corporate leader, became a like manager, and then I was still a teammate trying to juggle with the problems, trying to find out solutions, but he was leading a team. He was having a team of 4 people, and then he was not talking about people, he was talking about ideas, how to get things implemented, how to make things come to life, right? But I was still trying to figure out solutions of the problems in Stack Overflow, in Google, and things like that. Okay. Now, we casually just went up for a break. And I was just talking to him. Uh, why? How did you do this? We all started our careers at the very same time, and you grew up very fast in your career. Like within 5 years, he was like a manager, still a team. So he told me one of the important aspects why I grew very fast in my career was I took feedback from my managers. My managers not only they gave me that opportunity to grow, but also they provided the genuine feedbacks. If I lacked somewhere, they course corrected that. They told me that this is how it should be, and then that gave me that push. That's the reason why I grew very fast in my career. Okay, so now let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so now looking at this particular slide, okay, so you might feel that uh, why exactly feedback? Okay, we understand that feedback is necessary, but why is that so? Uh, what's big difference that it can bring onto the table? Okay, so feedback is like that friend who tells you that there is a spinach in your tea. Awkward, maybe. Useful, always. Without it, we are all just walking around making the same mistake confidently. So I remember on the very first day when we had a session with Joshua. Okay, until that point, I was thinking that I never had the fillers in my statements or my speeches. I used to feel I am quite fluent, I am quite natural. But the guys around me also observed that I keep using the words very often. It was completely a blind spot for me. I never felt that. From that day onwards, I made it the point that, okay, I should put a pause to it. Earlier, when I used to give a speech, I used to use a word like a lot. Whenever I used to say, I said like. My friends and everybody used to say, "What is this like? I mean, how many likes are you going to use in a statement?" They used to tick mark those likes in their notebooks and used to tell me 21 times you have used in a 15 minutes presentation. So I slowly changed myself, and then I was thinking I was not having it, but then I realized I was still using some other words. Okay, so I made it a point that okay, I have to come over it and make it a point that I don't use it often. Okay, so now what exactly is about feedback? So as I said that this is not exactly about correcting someone. It's about a connection, a care, and a growth that we want to see in a person. So while I was working in a team, I had one of my teammates. He was very funny and he was very humorous. Whatever things he used to, when I used to tell him, he used to just laugh and take things away. Okay. I thought if I just start giving a feedback to this guy, that guy might not take it in a very serious note. Okay. So I started indulging with that guy very often. So I went for tea break, coffee break. Anytime I would see with that guy, I used to pull him, okay, let's go for something. So I just tried to make that connection with him. Okay. And then I slowly started opening up. Okay. This is something where you could improve. You could be serious oftentimes. I mean, yeah, you can be humorous, but still, there are certain times you need to be serious about it. Okay. Now, uh, feedback as a culture. Okay. So we don't build a strong culture in our office with ping pong tables and coffee machines, Bonvitas, Horlicks, jars, things like that. It needs to be built with trust. And trust grows when feedback flows freely across teams, across levels, and especially when things are. So there are often times when we might shy away from giving feedbacks or maybe receiving feedbacks, thinking if I give a feedback to my teammate, then my teammate might take it in otherwise. Okay, so might not work with me, might feel that, oh, what is this guy? He's always giving on feedback, just trying to correct me, so on and so forth. Okay, but it needs to be. That's how you build a uh, feedback culture in your company or in your team or in your organization. Okay. Uh, and one of the major aspect of feedback is trust. Trust thrives when feedback is regular. Feedback basically normalizes learning and resilience. And the most quickest way that I would say to grow is to align, adapt, and evolve. If someone provides you feedback, you should take it in a positive way. So now, with that being said, one of the most difficult part is I remember. I think you all might resonate with me on this point that sometimes in your career, maybe once or twice, or maybe more than that, you might have blurted out your feedback at the heat of the moment. sometimes, or maybe after some minutes, you might have regretted, perhaps this was not a feedback. This was just something I vented out my perspective. How many of you did that? I did it. Right? I think many of you would have done that. So in the name of just feedback, you might have vented out of frustration, thinking that I gave a great feedback to my team, my friend, or something like that. Okay. But it was not the feedback. It was frustration that just came out from your mouth, maybe from your face, through actions, through words, right? Now, one of the most important thing when giving feedback is to pause to understand this point that when you should pause versus when you should react. Okay, so initially I used to provide feedbacks immediately, but then when I was having a lot of conversation with the people, I understood their thought process. So I got to know that I need to pause and think about it before I start opening up my mouth. So what are those two, three things that we need to keep it in mind? First thing is my feedback, a coaching or a course correction that I'm trying to. If the answer comes that I'm trying to course correct, maybe you can procrastinate that, or maybe you can skip that. If something genuinely comes from your mind that, okay, this is a coaching that I want to pass on, I want to see that person grow, you can checkbox that, and then we can move on to the next one. Is my feedback going to be helpful for that person? Is it the right time to talk about it? Can they really actually act on that? Because there are some instinct of a person. Okay, there are few people I've seen. They quickly get short tempered, even if you tell them something very soothing. They also will get short tempered and immediately react to it. Oh, what is it going to help me? Okay, they might not have anything wrong inside them. They might not uh, take you for granted, or they might not feel the way that they want that, okay, I want to take dirt from this person, or this person is not up to the mark. But in that moment, suddenly that will come out. They will feel that, okay, this is not something right for me. Right? Let's skip it. So these are some things you cannot change in a person. Okay. But what you can do is you can actually give them some pointers, some areas where they can focus on and can start changing. Okay. I'll give one of my vulnerability. Okay. So every time something comes up, I have a tendency that I just take it in a very lighter note. I say, oh, this is, I can do it. Okay. I mean, I don't hesitate to think for a moment that what is the depth of this problem? Can I really make it with the amount of resources that I have? How much of time it will take? Can I afford to lose that time for this and then can restart from the scratch if something goes wrong? I always think, okay, this is something very easy. Let me jump onto this and do it just overnight. I'll just spend a overnight and try to make it up. And then after some time, I realize, man, this is horrible. I cannot make it. Okay. So these are few of the things that I have gotten feedbacks from my multiple managers that I'm trying not to understand the length and breadth of the things and immediately jumping into the web. So I kind of pause myself. Nowadays, I've started understanding the intricacies of that particular thing and then take the step forward. Okay. So two things to take away from this slide is first to just get your intentions right. Okay, are you trying to coach or are you trying to correct someone? And the next thing is you have to introspect yourself. So is it helpful? Is the right time to talk about it? Can they really actually act on it or not? What they can do? Okay. Now let's move on to the next slide. So this is a very interesting slide. Okay. Um, this is something that I personally adopt in my team. Okay, I'm not sure how many people around me follow this. Even I do a lot of growth building sessions in multiple teams. So I talk about this particular aspect. So this is something very close to me. I'm not sure how many of you would be able to connect with this, but still, just give it a go ahead if you find it helpful. Okay. So one of the biggest reasons that feedback uh, backfires is because it's vague or personal. So major of the people think that feedback is not about helping them grow. It's about stabbing it back. Okay. They feel that, oh, okay, someone is trying to do a personal attack on me. So that's the reason they are finding out all these things. I'll give you a very simple and quick example. While I was in my college, I was basically leading a group. Okay, so we call it as Odisha Oracle Users Group. So Oracle is a technology. We were basically forming a team and we opened up a chapter, and I was the technical director at that time. Okay, I never had any leadership experience, and everybody inside that team was of my age or my peer. Okay, I didn't know how to handle things. I didn't know how to do things. I had a lot of mess ups with my friends, my juniors, so many things. Okay, it happened because I never knew. So everybody I reached out, they always pointed out the problems in me, but they never helped me to grow. Okay, so nowadays I see in organizations what your manager will tell you is, "Hey, Saurabh, you could not do this. Hey, this is that guy could not make it." But that's not the answer. You have to come up with a plan. You have to tell that person what will work the best. Okay, how you can improve, how you can do things well. So that's the reason we have a manager, we have a supervisor who keeps very close tabs on us, guides us. If you do not find this kind of person, that means you don't have a mentor, you don't have the right person to grow in your career. So that's the red flag in your organization. Even though you're working one of the hottest technologies, you are working on the latest trends, you're working with amazing people, but if you don't have someone who can give you provide these feedbacks, uh, I mean, you are in a very difficult place. Okay. Now, coming back to this particular slide, while I was in my college days, I never knew how things work. Okay. And people came up here and there and they started saying, this is not something you have done, that is not something you have done. So I was pissed off with all those things. Slowly, when I started my corporate career, I understood different problems. I worked with some of the great managers. I was lucky. I worked with them. So I learned uh, the way how they were leading things. And I have seen very closely that they work on these three things. One is situation, behavior, and impact. Okay. So what is situation? So before they come up with a feedback, they assess where and when that particular incident happened. Okay. Next, they would observe is what exactly happened. Okay. From the behavior standpoint. Okay. The third thing is what effect or the impact did it have? Okay, these are the three crucial things while we provide a feedback. Okay, we need to understand if the situation is not right, if you don't provide the feedback. If we think that the behavior is very bad, then the feedback should come up immediately so that we can stop the damage. Okay, and even if the impact is too high, okay, we have to make it a point that we bring it up very quickly. So one of the incident that happened in my past organization with one of my colleagues. So we had a call at 3 p.m. Okay, it was a client call. So like five of us joined that call along with our manager. Okay. So my friend who was actually supposed to present that, so he was talking about on AWS technology. It's a cloud technology. So we were supposed to build an infrastructure on AWS. So he was supposed to talk about that. Okay. How we can frame up the data pipelines, how the data will come up, how we will process it, how we will create our machine learning models, which can do the predictions and things like that. Okay. He was supposed to talk on that call. I was supposed to talk on the machine learning aspect of it, and my manager would overall assess the things and provide a verdict or claim. This is how we had planned our discussion. Okay, my friend steps in. So there was another guy also who was part of that discussion. He was recently onboarded to the team, so he did not have any idea on how the things operated, on what topic are we going to talk about it. Since he was free, my manager pulled him into the meeting, saying that okay, just come into the meeting so that you can learn something out of this. Okay. we are having that call. Okay. This guy, okay, who was recently onboarded, he started interrupting my friend couple of times, okay, while he was speaking. He was talking about something on AWS. This guy was also an AWS expert, so he was, breaking that conversation in between and saying, "Oh, we can use this, we can use that. Why are we using that?" Okay. After a couple of times, okay, uh, we observed that the client stopped bringing up any ideas. Okay. This incident did not happen. He did not stop the client from speaking, but he stopped someone else in the meeting. So that gave a very wrong impression to the client. The client starts suggesting few things on AWS. Perhaps this guy will pitch in between and then break the flow of the discussion. Okay. So we had this. I did not notice this very clearly. The next day, my manager was having a short call. It was a coffee session, not a formal call. And he basically asked us from yesterday's call, what did you observe? Okay. I said, I didn't observe. I was talking to him on the technical aspect of it because I'm a little bit techy guy. So I was talking. I didn't notice all these things. It was completely washed out from my brain. Okay. Then he opened up and said, that guy was not there, of course, in our discussion. He said, the situation was okay, but the behavior and the impact, what happened was not acceptable. Okay. He told us. Then I started probing him. Okay, what was that? Then he started explaining that this is what the incident was. Could you recall? Then I recalled. That's how it went on. Okay, so we got it. So he said he will speak to him personally and will convey all these points to him. Okay, so from that particular point, I understood that he could have immediately discussed it. After the call, we had a bit of free time. So he used that free time to talk on the technical aspects of the things. He didn't pitch and talk about that, hey, uh, Gaurav, this is something you screwed up. You shouldn't have thought the discussion in between, try to bring your point. You're very new. Perhaps if this thing would have happened, then that guy would have thought that he was kind of getting a personal attack and he would have refrained himself from speaking in the subsequent calls. He is a nice guy, okay, but he didn't know where to speak, what to speak, and how to speak. So that's where it was the problem, all right? So let's move on to the next slide. So when I spoke to this guy, my manager, he told me one amazing thing. He said, Soumya, remember one thing in life, praise in public, correct in private. Okay. So if you praise that guy, okay, that you have done an amazing job, you have done things so amazingly that I couldn't have found like a replacement for you. So that guy would be in cloud nine, okay, in front of everyone. I'm not talking about personally. So when you meet that person in a private space, you can talk, okay, this is something could have been improved. That is something you should specifically look into it. Okay. So good feedback doesn't wait for the performance review, because at times what happens is like managers or the people who closely observe us kind of stack all the positive and the negatives. Okay. And in the performance review, they will open up saying, on this day you did something like this. Now you would be completely blank. Whether he's saying right or wrong, you will have no idea. Okay. He will refer some 6 months back or 8 months back stuff and he will start opening up. Right. So what I always say, my team, that good feedbacks should be something that you immediately bring. Immediately doesn't mean that just after the call, maybe in couple of days time or maybe a weeks of time, you bring it to the surface so that the memory is fresh. You can justify the impact. Okay. It should be respectful or not rushed, or maybe in a sarcastic way you tell, or maybe in a publicly you try to tell that, okay, this is something you can improve. That person again might take it in a personal attack. might think that you are trying to tarnish his or her image. Okay, and also it needs to be specific, and I shouldn't bring that person to my place and start giving yans. Okay, telling, hey, someone did like this, someone did like this, they fired him, we took disciplinary action. We should not be like that. It should be very, very specific, measurable, what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, what are your actions. Just three things. That's it. The person, everyone, whoever is working in the organization are very mature enough. So you just tell them they understand, okay, where they are lacking, and they immediately start thinking about it. Okay. So one of my key incident was maybe a year back, we were presenting uh, about a project to our Singapore management team. So what I did was I mistakenly missed out some of the key numbers. Okay, so I directly gave that presentation. What my manager told me after that discussion was, he told me that Soumya, if you could have, I mean, incorporated few key numbers, it would have been really amazing. He didn't tell me that you were careless. If you would have told me that you were careless, you missed out, perhaps it would have looked like a personal attack. But he was very respectful, and he passed on that message in a very soothing way. And then from that day onwards, I made it a point in my to-do list. Every time I do this, I have to pull some numbers to justify my facts. Okay, I think many of you would have come across this similar situation. Okay, so it should be focused on the behavior, not on the personality of the person. It should be on that particular situation. Okay. And it has to be delivered as a dialogue, not as a verdict that you cannot do this, you cannot do that, and completely you end the discussion. Okay, in a very negative tone. So now the next part is, if you look at this image, we're talking about how to provide feedbacks. Now the most important thing is like how you should receive the feedback. Okay, let's be very honest. Receiving feedback is the most hardest thing. Okay, our first instinct is usually to defend, explain, or justify. Okay, so every time someone comes, hey, no, 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 not me, because of this thing, because of that guy only I did this. Okay, because of this happened. Okay, this is how our brain is wired. Okay, every time someone gives us a feedback, our brain thinks in this way that, okay, what did I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong. Okay, but we have to make it a point that we should pause, listen, and reflect. Okay, let's not rush to respond, reply. Okay, let's understand the point what the other person is trying to bring. Okay, let's analyze it. Okay, because oftentimes when we pause, listen to that person, we kind of get 90%. But if we are listening in an intent to reply or respond, I mean, immediately we'll think it as a personal attack. Okay, and we'll again we start deflecting or defending ourselves. Okay? Once you receive the feedback, you can always say thank you. And once you say thank you, you should not observe everything what the person said. Maybe for that particular situation, that person would have observed something which is not right. So only keep those things which are useful to you. There could be like 10 points which might not exactly suit you, but maybe out of 10, 4, 5 would really help you. So keep those points aware. Okay. Now coming to the final slide. Feedback basically boosts the growth personally and professionally. Let's give it and ask for it. Let's normalize this feedback. Okay. Let's not think that, okay, feedback is a personal attack or something like that. Let's normalize it. Okay. Okay. Definitely, I'm not a perfect person, right? I'm not God. I will have some problem. If someone tries to bring it up, shows us that, okay, this is the problem, how we can recover from that, how we can be the better version of ourselves. Okay, let's focus on it and work towards it. Okay. Now, I would like to ask you, how many of you have received amazing feedbacks from your managers? Anyone else? Okay.
Yes, I received a good bad feedback.
So, did it really help you to grow in your career?
Yes, If I
Oh,
got any
amazing.
feedback, will take care of myself.
Okay, lovely, lovely. Have you ever got feedback? I would not say feedback, frustration enveloped feedback immediately after a call or something. I hope everybody would have got that at, uh,
I
I mean,
gave
at
this
a
kind
given
of
point in the
frustration.
career.
Sorry, I give this kind of frustration feedback to my employees.
I mean, this is how our brain works. I mean, that happens a lot. Okay,
Right.
so with this presentation, I mean, with this discussion, I would like to end my presentation, and I want to thank all of you for being an amazing audience. I could see the cameras are on, you guys are smiling, you guys are very, very attentive. That really boosts me. I mean, I can continue for one more